The state is a parasite. It is robbing people. It is destroying lives. We cannot allow this. We must stop it. That's the message we need to get out. It isn't enough to be nice guys. I'm sorry.
That is the market. If you tell the truth, and if the audience senses it, they will ride with you to the end of the earth.
There is this parasitic force in Washington, D.C. that's grown bigger and bigger and more powerful.
I absolutely agree with that.
The Libertarian Party Mises Caucus, they are doing incredible work.
Your support has made Defend the Guard Act the most important non-interventionist legislation in the entire 21st century. That credit belongs almost singularly to the activists in the Mises Caucus.
Government is simply the biggest corporation with a monopoly on violence.
We need to be fearless truth tellers and absolutely cut through everything.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Chris Cuomo, if you really want to go on this rehabilitation tour, why not come through me?
I'll fucking throw you down these stairs like a fucking punk.
Dave Smith and Chris Cuomo have agreed to a debate.
They need to be called out and shamed.
It's not the politics of it. It's not necessarily even the ideas. That's secondary to the culture. And how do you guys feel? How do you feel about this community? How do you feel about this energy?
It's not that complicated. You know, freedom is not a complicated issue. Just have fun talking about it and spreading the message.
How cool's the doctor that figured that one out?
Stop doing evil and terrible things that provoke them. We did. Well, that's ridiculous. That's where I'm just...
If you care about your fucking country, read Ludwig von Mises and the 6 lessons of the Austrian economic school, motherfucker.
Some of you will be threatened. Some of you will be intimidated. Some of you are going to fold.
This is Special Agent Christina Chen. I'm going to give you an opportunity to verify my identity.
I got an award from the Mises Caucus for the most visits by a Fed award. But as Angela said, liberty is dangerous.
I will walk into a den of vipers every time if there's a chance that I can convert a single one of them and move the needle in the direction of freedom.
I love dealing with libertarians.
The libertarians, they're great people, and they are based largely on common sense.
We would be so lucky if we convinced a single blood-sucking statist to adopt a single one of our policies.
That convinces me the revolution is alive and well.
What's your message to those people?
By our fruits you'll know us.
Hopefully in a year, 2 or 3, I'll come back and everyone here will say, Maj, you were wrong. Peace.
What say, America? You in? Come on.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order.
This crusade, this war on terrorism, is going to take a while.
We came, we saw, we died.
We tortured some folks.
Yourselves to these unnatural men with machine minds and machine hearts. You are not machines. You are not cattle. You are men. You have the love of humanity in your hearts. You don't hate. Only the unloved hate. The unloved and the unnatural. Soldiers, don't fight for slavery. Fight for liberty.
And the pod's been parked. It's been a while. Out cruising the multiverse, looking to get into some mischief, and I sure did. What a long, strange trip it's been. If I told you that it ended with a COVID cop, a couple commies, and 100 milligram weed gummy, would you believe me or insist that I'm making shit up? Nope, we'll get into that, ladies and gentlemen. I am sorry that I've been gone so long. I've been incredibly busy in the realm of politics, low vibrational shit all across the board. So I'm so happy to be back here with you guys. The real ones, the ones who help me hold it down. Thank you for being here to help me take on the world. I can't believe we made it. Did we actually make it? We'll get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a hot minute I think we're on about a quarterly cycle here, one podcast every 3 months or so. But that's bound to change. There was another great reset upon us just days ago. We're going to get into it, but first, I just want to say it is really good to be back. I got new spaceship digs. I'm feeling pretty good about that. And I got some people joining me here to help me make sense of all the chaos. But guys, it's been a long time, and I have missed you dearly. Before we get into all the stuff for tonight, I'm going to bring in my guests who were with me. I did spend a little time with one of them in DC, but the other we did not get to meet. And she traveled awfully far for the event. So let's bring her in first. This is Kate, Lady Liberty from Australia, the land down under. Thank you for being here with us.
G'day, Dave. Thanks for having me. That was actually a pretty good Aussie accent. I tried to get Dave Smith to do one when I interviewed him, but he wasn't as brave as you are.
He didn't go for it? He should just go for it. Comedian and everything.
I know I tried to bait him, but he was too smart for me. And I am still in your beautiful country. I traveled from Australia specifically for the Libertarian Party National Convention in Washington, D.C. I met a fellow Australian who was there. We were on a crazy road trip. I'm staying in some dive hotel outside Houston, Texas. I put my flag up to try and make it look a bit more presentable for you. So I apologize for my setting, but I'm so happy to be here and joining you on your show.
Oh, no apologies necessary. And yep, I appreciate you flying the flag inside the motel there. And yeah, have a great adventure here. And I appreciate you coming. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Up next, we got the leader of the Colorado Caliphate. She's been on this show before. She's one of my favorite libertarians, a dedicated activist, and just a general coolie. Hannah Goodman is in the house. How are you, Hannah?
I'm finally recovered from DC, and then I popped into a debate with a Republican and Democrat, which I killed, by the way. So yes. I'm finally decompressed, de-stressing, coming down off of all of it. I've had a huge past few months, actually.
It does. It takes a little bit of time to wash off the DC stink and kind of the mental experience that was brought down upon us. So yeah, I feel a little bit better myself. It did take a little while though.
Here I am running to go to the actual U.S. Congress, and I'm like, I don't think I like DC. If I'm elected, that's going to be miserable.
Well, you would be the first one ever in the House, so you probably are safe. But if anybody could do it, it would be you.
I know, right? That's the thing. It's anybody's game when I'm playing it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Hannah, we'll start with you because you were there. We got to talk for a little bit. I did a bunch of man on the street interviews, as many as I could do, and they're in the hands of Dan Smots at the moment. So hopefully he'll put out a cool piece of content and make me look cool. But that's not quite out yet. I do have a couple snippets we'll share from that tonight. But you were there and you ran for vice chair. You got my vote. Unfortunately, we came up short there. We'll talk about all the ways in which we came up short. But how do you feel about your loss? Are you reeling, or are you completely moved on immediately after it happened? Or what's your feeling there?
So it's politics, right? It's like sports. I hate sports, but there is such a thing as good sportsmanship, and I was raised to be a good sport. So you didn't see me cry on that floor. God, I would never cry over something like that. Not angry, nothing. I felt, well, that's the roll of the dice. That's the hand I got dealt. Now what are you going to do with it? And I'm like, well, I guess I can focus completely on this debate and this congressional campaign. So, I've got a lot of irons in the fire. Plus I'm running Colorado, right? We're in the peak of election season as primaries are closing. We're getting more and more pledges signed. We're doing a lot of wheeling and dealing here in the state of Colorado with all of our candidates. We're making and breaking political careers. We could talk about that at some point. I'm just really having a hell of a time. And so I'm grateful for the opportunity to run for vice chair. That was so much fun. It was a life, changing experience. And I look forward to potentially a chair run in the future.
Heck yeah. I'll tell you what, anytime I see a lady in a cowboy hat, I'm just like, whoa, she's probably got something to say. It's just like such a cultural difference from where I live. You would never see that. So it's automatically commands attention, and then you get the mic and you do an awfully good job with it once you get it. So you had my vote.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, what was your impression of it's your first time in the United States and you got to hang out with a bunch of Liberty people when you got here? What'd you think?
This is actually my 5th time to your beautiful country. I love it so much. I don't want to leave, but I don't want to add to your illegal immigration problems, and I'm trying to do it legally. But yeah, I flew across to DC. It was a 31-hour trip, but it was worth it to finally meet so many inspiring Liberty people that I've met online and had on my own show, and just to be there and see how the Libertarian Party in America do things as well, and just to meet everyone in person, and so many inspiring people in that room. I mean, seeing Ron Paul speak, that's, I never dreamed I would be able to see him being all the way in Australia.
Yeah.
So that was just, even seeing Donald Trump and RFK Jr., I never thought I would be able to see that. So I'm grateful for the opportunity to come across, and I got to interview people from my show too. So it was a really great experience. In Australia, we call it spurging out, when Libertarians spurg out about things. So there was a lot of that going on.
We'll get to the gummy bear in a minute.
Yes, we'll get to the gummy bear, I'm sure. And yeah, it was just fantastic to see how motivated everyone is. And it was disappointing that because the result it doesn't look like it's unified the party, and it's something back home we have infighting as well, and there's factional warfare and all of that too. But it's important to remember the fight is out there. It's out there against the other parties, trying to educate people about liberty. So I really hope that despite everyone's mixed emotions, we can move forward and advance liberty, because America is the answer. You're the beacon of liberty to Australia. We follow everything that you do. Going to war, we go wherever you go. So you really are the hope and the future and the leaders. So I'm hopeful with the people that I've met. There's some great people out there. So we'll see what the future holds.
I appreciate that that attitude, and I'm trying to do that too. I spent a couple days licking my wounds and feeling sorry for myself, and but I'm pretty much already past that. The struggle never really ends. Anyway, there's no plateau. If you read Rules for Radicals, it's right there in the very beginning. There's always another battle, and you're always going to have something. And so let's talk about that a little bit. I mean, the takeover, as they called it here, wasn't terribly permanent. It feels like that's just maybe another struggle that we always are going to have to deal with. But let's start with some of the positive things that happened this weekend. Did you get to meet Angela McArdle while you were here?
Yes, I got to say g'day to her and her beautiful baby. I thought she did an incredible job. She's very inspiring, being able to stand up and try and herd libertarians, as I call it. So
yeah,
it was great to meet her, and the fact that she got Donald Trump and RFK to address libertarians as well. I think that's a huge positive for the party. I know people were very divided, but I thought it was a great opportunity to get our message out to the wider community. It made the news in Australia too, that he was there at the Libertarian Party convention. So it was a big deal.
I knew this was a big deal when it was probably a week before convention. I got a text from my mother, and it said, "Hey, Donald Trump's going to be at your convention." I'm like, "Ma, come on." Like, of course I know that. But she didn't know that, and she's a normie, and she doesn't get Libertarian Party news, but she did this time. So yeah, I want to really give credit to Angela for really being brave and thinking outside of the box and not really caring about all the reeing that she would hear from that. And it was a tremendous success in that aspect. I met Vivek Ramaswamy. I shook his hand and thanked him for all of the common ground and at least coming there to try and solicit votes and try and get our attention. I'm sure they're not there because they really think we're cool or they want to go to Liberty Comic-Con. It's because they want those votes. And that means, and I'm sure the Caliphate can tell you this means we're over the mark. Like they need the 1, 2, 3, 4% to do what they need to do. So now they need to pander and cater to us and make messages for us. And I think that in and of itself, it's not out in the middle, middle. It's not center stage, but that's a real big win. The Ross Ulbricht promise from Trump, even though everybody says, well, he's a liar, he won't do it. It's like, well, he is the deal guy though, right? And that doesn't cost him anything. It would only get him goodwill and some votes. So I really think he's going to do that. I do think he's going to get elected, and that's another one of her huge victories. Perhaps the biggest one the Libertarian Party would achieve if we could get Ross Ulbricht out of jail. What do you think, Hannah?
I definitely think that if we hadn't started with these type of groundbreaking strategies here in Colorado, we would have never achieved this on the national level. It's a similar strategy with a different execution. And I'm adoring watching us really lean into that swing vote, right? We have the power of the swing vote here in Colorado, and we also have the power of the swing vote nationally. And I know that the libertarians, the old guard, likes to say, we're not spoilers. It's actually not true. Yes, we are. Lean into it. Even if it's not true, they're terrified of it. Why would you not play into the opposition's fears, right? And by doing so, you make yourself so relevant. Look, the news traveled all the way, halfway around the world to Australia, right? That's worldwide attention on our brand of libertarianism. And so this is more monumental than a Mises Caucus takeover. I'm sorry. This is the fruits. You shall know us by our fruits. But this is not directly out of the Mises Caucus, right? But it was made possible by the Mises Caucus. Right. And so I cannot wait to see more of our fruits come to harvest after all of these years we've put in work. Though we may have lost the things we think are important, I feel like there's so many more unknown gains we have yet to see.
I agree. What do you think, Kate?
I was disappointed that Trump didn't say anything about Assange. So I was at his speech and I had my Australian flag and I got on the news camera saying, "Free Assange, bring him home." So I was a bit disappointed, but I know the Libertarian Party in America was more focused on Ross at the moment, and he's one of yours, so I understand that. So I was a bit sad that Assange is still not able to come home, but hopefully if Trump gets in, I know it was on his desk last time to let him come back, and hopefully this time, maybe. But you're right, Hannah, the fact that it made international news, and I was getting messages from my normie friends saying, you're at a convention and Trump is there, like it's just incredible. And then the conversation is about, well, why were you there? What's going on? What's the Libertarian Party? So it's having those conversations are really hard to start. So having Trump there paved the way for those conversations, and to say we don't support him in a lot of things, the majority of things that he did and has done, but we had him there to address us, to listen to him as the probably next president. And the fact that he came to our convention or your convention just shows how relevant we now are in the world. So I think it was fantastic, a win for us for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, good call about Assange. I know that his brother was there. Angela, again, made sure that he was there and spoke to some people. Did you spoke to him while you were there?
I didn't get to meet him.
No? Okay.
I was running around with all the Americans, and then I heard he was there. So yeah.
Still very cool. I know Tim Pool was there. He interviewed Trump backstage, and he did ask him about freeing Assange, and he said, "Well, that's something we're going to look into it." So no promise.
So in Colorado, on our pledge, we have a pledge. I don't know if you're familiar with this strategy. I know that you are, Dave. We are issuing pledges to Republican people running for office. On our federal pledge, we actually have on there 3 planks. One is, I will not oppose a pardon to Snowden. I will not oppose a pardon to Assange, and I will not oppose a pardon to Ross Ulbricht. So we made sure on our state level, so we could potentially be sending people to Congress who will uphold and champion that. And so that's just as effective, not as publicly like the publicity of Trump, of course, right? Him being able to like say, I'll free, Assange or whatever, that would go way more than my pledge and some congressmen. But it is a start, and it's something that we can try to do.
Yeah, thank you for that. We appreciate it. We just want him home back in Australia. I've met his dad a few times, and it's heartbreaking. He came up to me once, and I've got family and liberty tattooed on my chest, and he just said that's what it's about. So he just wants his family, his son home, and it's gone on so long now. We just, hopefully this next term, the president, if it's Trump, will let him come back.
God willing. Yeah. God, it has been so long, like 2012, 2011. Like, how long has he been in an embassy or I'm trying to think back. It's been forever, but
forever.
And Ross Ulbricht is like 10 years as well in maximum security prison. Yeah, awful. Just robbing their life. So, yeah, Trump was there. That is huge. I remember hearing just whispers of this before it happened, and the whole time I was just like, no, that's never going to happen. That's all rumors. But it definitely turned out to be true. And now that I won't be personally casting a vote for the Libertarian Party for president, I'm shopping around and listening to what people have to say. So let's check out what he had to say to us.
Have a free country if we do not have free speech, and very strongly believe that.
All right, he very strongly believes in free speech. Check.
We stand opposed to government tyranny in all of its many forms. We are opposed to a government that spies on political campaigns. I wonder who that might be.
Look, this is funny, but I agree with him so far. Any disagreements on Trump's position so far? We're all good.
Like they did on me, spies on the American people, censors us, and crushes the rights of its own citizens, which the Biden administration does. We want government out of our business, out of our wallets, and out of our lives. That's what we want.
So he's giving us all the things that we want to hear, right? This is all libertarian red meat. Like, he's talking about taxation. He's not definitely saying taxation is theft, but get out of my wallet, right? Stop censoring me. This is all good so far.
We believe that Marxism is an evil doctrine straight from the ashes of hell. Having Marxism in our government is intolerable, and teaching it to our children is considered to us child abuse.
Ooh, teaching Marxism is child abuse. I've been saying that, chemical castration is, and people are fighting me on that. But this guy just one-upped me a bunch. It's just straight up teaching Marxism is child abuse. Get ready for it.
We believe that the job of the United States military is not to wage endless regime change wars around the globe, senseless wars. The job of the United States military is to defend America from attack and invasion here at home. We believe that property rights are fundamental to a free society, and that Joe Biden's rampant inflation is a monstrous theft from the American people. It's a theft.
So this is amazing. Joe Biden's inflation is a monstrous theft on people, and you hear these people, you suck. He's like, no. I said it's theft. Like, he's trying. I said it's theft. Inflation is theft. Don't you guys like that? These people, this is the thing that makes me want to leave, is the people in the audience that just can't clap when the guy says inflation is theft. Like, what?
We believe that the greatest threat to our country is not from enemies abroad. It's the tyrants, communists, fascists, and thugs attacking our rights and liberties from within. And above all else, we live by the words of the great American patriot, Patrick Henry, give me liberty or give me death.
Boo. Okay.
Do they have brain cells in their head? Like, do they have regulated nervous system? Like, no, they don't.
I'm so embarrassed. That's all I was thinking. I'm so embarrassed, and you make me want to go up to the warmonger and go, I'm so sorry for these people. That's really what I want to do.
Some people are so hard to please, even though he's hitting all the libertarian principles and points. They just couldn't even give him a little clap. But
yeah. Don't they understand? I feel like Rand Paul figured this out very early. Like, he tried to pick fights with Trump, and that didn't work. So then you give him a compliment, and then you ask him for help, and then he does it.
Yes.
It's like so predictable. Why can't we at least be that perceptive?
Well,
to get
that
what we
would be
want?
strategic, and these people don't understand political strategy at all. Like, it's not a thing. As if the whole world is just some, like, random thing. And it's like, no, how do you advance yourself in the political landscape? It's called strategy. It's like a war. You don't just go willy-nilly and hope for the best. That doesn't work. And so this could have been a really strategic moment, and I hope that we didn't actually blow it as a party.
I agree. I think that he probably went backstage and went, F these people. That's probably what I would have said. That's what I was saying, to be perfectly honest.
My favorite part of his whole speech was when he trolled us. Like it made me laugh so hard, and I loved it because he was heckled and heckled and heckled, and he's like, "Yeah, I can be your nominee, or you can keep losing and get your 3 or 4%." I love that part. That's
Me too.
like for me was the highlight. And I'm like, "Yep, that's what these people want. They want to be losers."
I like how he also said they're apparently trying to pick a presidential candidate this weekend because it was Saturday night, right? And it was still, you guys were still debating about letting people have a seat to vote. That took all day Friday, basically. So he knew what he was saying. He's a comedian for sure.
Yeah. And then later, a week later, he's arrested on 34 counts. Amazing. As he's becoming ungovernable. So my whole adult life, I've just kind of always assumed that the president is selected, not elected. For the past 12 years, I've gotten a nice protest vote out of the Libertarian Party. I live in a super blue state, so it's more a virtue signal than anything else. It allows me to feel clean inside, but I'm not really doing much with that. But Chase and Termont took that from me this year. So I understand that most of politics is rhetoric, and Trump is a known liar. That's fine. But as far as the rhetoric goes, that is what I want to hear. And if I am to assume that the deep state really is at war with him, that he really is the victim of lawfare from a political opponent, if this is not just kayfabe, like wrestling theater, then why should we not vote for Donald Trump right now? With all the things that he just said. I'll leave that to either one of you guys.
Well, if you look back what he did his last presidential term, past performance is an indicator of future performance. So how he handled COVID, that's a big red flag for. I was obviously in Australia with my own tyrannical government there. So that's the big one that springs to the front of my mind is how he handled the COVID pandemic. Yeah,
agreed. 100%. Operation Warp Speed is on his watch. So was the CARES Act, over $6 trillion. 100%. I guess I'm saying when we're can beggars be choosers? If 3 candidates are all Zionist puppets, like what are we really picking from? Do we only get the guy who promised us Ross and a couple other things that like go along with our ideology? If that's as good as it gets, maybe that's as good as it gets.
As a gas and oil family with a single income, my option is to vote Trump because for the first time ever, we were in Trump's economy. Not that I understand there's issues there, but under Trump's economy, I was able to pay my bills, all of them, and not struggle. We even had a little extra. I've never had that. As soon as Biden took office, it was like a switch because all of the executive orders around gas and oil that Trump repealed and allowed that industry to boom here in America and like all of these things. I could talk about it for hours, the effects of repealing all of those regulations on that one industry, how that changed my life. I have to vote with my wallet. I'm tired of being hungry, right? Mm-hmm. Is Chase Oliver and Mike Tremont going to feed me? Oh, they're not? Are they? What are they doing for me? Right? As somebody that I'm voting for, I'm your customer. What are you doing for me? Right? Do I like all the things about Trump? Nope. But you know what I like? I like eating. Right? I like not struggling. I like my bills paid. I like the stress of that lifted off of me. And so for me, I mean, but at the same time, yes, I understand COVID and Operation Warp Speed and like, the money, and the war, bombs, and like I understand all of these things, but I'm just a regular person, and
we've been properly demoralized for quite a few years to the point where it's like, what? Just give me something. Yeah, let me keep my money so I put it on the table. And if this is a psyop, one big one, I really feel like the "Make America Great Again" slogan, like people have they remember. I was the same way. I just started a business in 2017 and it peaked in 2019. And then with COVID, it was awful. But people will have that in their mind, like, wait a second, right before that, things were great. Because they did loosen up on regulations, and gas wasn't as expensive, and all these things. They didn't inject $7 trillion, $8 trillion into the economy yet, and that hadn't. So I think that was part of the psyop to probably okay, the great before, it felt good. I want to remember that, and Trump was part of the great before, even though he also, initiated warp speed. He was. I get that, and I hear you. Everybody else is a single issue voter. I totally understand it. I know you can't vote for him, Kate, but would you got to see RFK and you got to see Trump. Were you moved by either one more than the other? Would you be swayed one way or the other?
The only reason I don't like RFK Jr. is because of his stance on guns. So I'm a big shooter back home in Australia, and we don't really have many guns back home anymore, and that's why they were able to do what they did to us during COVID there. So I'm just not sold on his stance on firearms. I noticed in his speech that the only thing he said about guns was he read out the Second Amendment, and he said some people believe that this is why we were able to get through COVID without more tyranny. But he didn't say that's what he believed. So I'm just not, because firearms to me is my passion, and I'm trying to fight back home in Australia, not 100% sold on him. But I get what you're saying about Trump. And if he can turn the economy around, it's the same in Australia. We're under a far left government like you are here. The Democrats, the Labor Party in Australia are running us into the ground. We can't afford. I've had to move back home with my parents at 36 because you're just struggling to make ends meet. So if there's someone who can help families and the economy, and then that's where we're going to go. And you're right. What's Chase and Mike Tomat offering? Chase is good on the anti-war stuff. I don't really have an opinion on Mike Tomat yet, but the options that you guys have here, it's not great. Where are the wise men leading us? The strong, like the Roman era. That's what we're missing in Australia, and it seems to be the same here.
Listen, I've asked myself that same question, and in fact, we joked a little bit behind. Before the show, I invited a couple guys and a couple girls who were interested, and only the ladies showed up. And Hannah, when I saw you in DC, what did I say? I was like, okay, it's you, it's Karen Ann, it's Angela, it's the future is female, like no lie. We just had a trustee election here in the town I live in. This was settled by William Penn. He set up a trust 400 years ago, and only women were running for it. No men in this town were interested in presiding over a 400-year-old land trust put up by William Penn. No men.
It blows I'm a mother. I have 3 boys and a very manly husband, and I live in a very rural, exclusive area. So I'm surrounded by cowboys and farmers. I'm surrounded by men as they were designed to be. I go to the Front Range here. I go to Denver. I cannot. It's like such culture shock. And so I guess that until men want to stand up en masse in large numbers again and assume their proper role and their responsibilities, here we have my generation raised with a lack of responsibilities, and it's making very weak, very soft men. And so women have to stand, because that's just the natural order. Nature abhors a vacuum, as they say. And so I guess we'll have to be standing strong. You're going to have to work for guns. I'm going to have to work here in color until the men decide that they are ready to assume responsibility once again. And it's my goal to raise men, and I am very manly men. And I'm thankful that I've had the example of my husband. And though it may not go far into the future, at least they've had that as the example, and they can watch him be a man to his grave.
Yeah, I know you're going through it, and I'm sorry about that. And
it makes my fight worth it.
Yeah, it's inspiring to watch, and take care of your boys, and teach them.
They're now taking care of me. My oldest will be 18 at the end of the month, and they work, because we're, you have to work. If they want something, they have to work for it. So it's interesting. Most kids take money out of their mother's wallet. My boys put cash in my wallet every week and make sure I have what I need.
I love to see it, and I'm proud of your kids.
Thank you.
That's really great. Okay, so we did get a candidate this past week, so I think it's probably best that we get acclimated with this person and see what they have to offer us. Let's take a peek.
Okay, listen. There's broadly speaking, I think, two groups of people here.
Wait.
Okay? No, but I'm serious. There are members of the Libertarian Party, and there are people who came here to support Donald Trump. Listen, I have a message for both of you individually. I hear you. To the members of the Libertarian Party, which I am also one. Guys, listen, here's my message to the libertarians here. The former president of the United States of America and the current frontrunner to be the next president is here to talk to you. We are not a bunch of college leftist sissies. We believe in free speech. So
You just wait, Dave.
Be respectful. I'm not telling you you have to agree with him, and I'm not telling you you have to cheer for him. But we're not having like Jordan Peterson at Berkeley event here. And the message we're sending to the world is not that we can't handle ideas that we disagree with. We are libertarians. We are constantly surrounded by ideas that we disagree with. We're in Washington, D.C., for God's sake. And here's my message to the Donald Trump supporters who are here. You came to the Libertarian Party National Convention, and we're libertarians around these parts. So let me tell you a little bit about what we believe in case you're not sure. Here's what we believe. Donald Trump, as President of the United States of America, was framed for treason by his own deep state.
This reminds me of that episode of Family Guy where Lois was running for office and she just comes out and goes, 9/11 was bad. And everybody's like, yeah, like this is all you have to do. It's really so tragic that this guy is not the guy. But
and those people belong in jail.
He just gave a bunch of red meat to both portions of the crowd. Everybody knows that. And everybody's cheering. Lock them up. Everybody wants to see him. Lock them up. Of course.
It is an absolute crime against our nation that the intelligence agencies that supposedly work for the president would dare frame a presidential candidate. But they crossed a whole nother line when they framed the sitting commander-in-chief. And not one of them has paid for that. And that is unacceptable. Around these parts, we are truly America first. We believe in no foreign adventurism. We are strict non-interventionists. The proxy wars of choice following 20 years of disastrous terror wars in Ukraine and in Israel are absolutely inexcusable, and America should have no part of either of them. We are $34 trillion in debt.
So that guy's not running for president. It really felt like he was running for president, though, didn't it? What do you guys think about that?
I think he will eventually, this is my prediction. So I got to sit down with Dave for a quick interview and he was such a blessing to meet. He's got a huge fan base in Australia. And I know a lot of people have realized they're libertarian because of him. I think when the Libertarian Party gets big enough to be a major party, he will be the next president of the United States, the first libertarian president this country will have ever had. I don't know when, I don't know how long it's going to take. But Dave Smith is a leader. He's inspiring. He knows how to talk to people without offending them. I think he's a great messenger. I did ask him why he didn't run, and I respect his reasons. But in the future, I really hope he's your presidential candidate, and I hope that he will win.
Well, he's got that going for him. He and Tulsi Gabbard could run for president in 40 more years and be younger than Biden is right now. So they've got some time. What do you think, Hannah? You think his political future is just getting started?
Well, that's a difficult question for me to answer, as I'm a very loud and known not fan, and I never have been.
Not fan.
No,
Okay.
that's actually only the second time I've heard him speak. So the first time I heard him speak was at my convention in 2022 or 2021. I'm not sure which convention it was, but anyway, he came. Because I lead from the trenches, so I lead one of the most radical state affiliates. We are one of the most successful state affiliates. And I believe in leading from the trenches. Yes, we can all decide what happens from our ivory tower balconies, but I'm with my men in the trenches and we're fighting, and I'm leading them from the place of, let me show you bravery. Let me show you courage. And I know everyone loves Dave Smith, and so I'm not going to trash him, but I have my opinions. Okay. And I will just be very surprised, because being that on that level requires such boldness, such strength of character, such courage, right? I don't even know that I possess that to that level, and I got a lot. And I'm stupid, so I got that going for me.
Good mix.
More than the courage. So I don't know, but I really hope that he understands the power of his words and the fruits of his actions, and I hope that it feels nice and square on those shoulders for him, because he made me less effective as a leader from the trenches by backing out. Because we should never have promised things we hadn't already planned to deliver. And I think that's really what the breakdown was. We promised things, or hyped everybody up. Promising is maybe a strong word, but with no intention of fulfillment or even having a plan of execution should that happen. Don't hype like this if this isn't here, because it just, I lost really good solid members from him pulling out of the presidential stuff. And I'm really angry, because I was elected to a board because he brought people in and helped build this movement. They elevated me, and then they completely left me alone, in retreat. And I felt like one of the very few people left on the battlefield trying to hold our own. And now we come to this convention, and all I can think is, I hope you enjoy the taste of that fruit, because I sure haven't enjoyed making it for you. And we work in tandem, our figureheads and our activists in the trenches, right? We work in tandem. I'm going to continue to work down here, and I'm going to continue to generate so long as you help provide me the energy with which to generate. And I'm going to hold on as much as I can, but I'm certainly no Dave Smith. And so I really hope that we can find a way to harness, and I think I've actually found a solution here in Colorado. I got a really interesting program rolling out in the next 2 weeks. Gonna kind of try to capture our podcasters and kind of draw them in, and we'll have multiple as opposed to just one. I really want to incentivize people in Colorado to speak to Colorado issues, while at the same time boosting my state party and helping me generate that sort of circuit of activists and money and things like that, because that's what I need. So I guess in a sense, maybe Dave pulling out did me a favor, and I've had to get really creative and think out of the box and figure out my dislike of most podcasters out. Well, so I don't like them. Okay. Well, I like you, Dave. I like Karen Ann, and I love Forest Mommy and these types of things, but it's known I'm very, very critical of them. Just because I get disenchanted, well, what are you going to do with it? Are you helping me in the end? So I want to be able to incentivize them to help us as a party. And so this is going to be a really fun program. Over the next 2 weeks, we're going to roll out a beta. I'm not going to talk any more about it till it gets out, and we say, if it's successful, maybe it'll fail, but at least I'm trying to use our talking heads effectively to generate energy for the party once again.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel you on that. And as a Dave Smith super fan, I was certainly let down when he didn't run. And there was some lessons in there. Like, I think one is that we have to take the world as it is, not the way we want it. So I was under the impression that, okay, yeah, Dave bailed, but we still have a really great idea here, great people, great team, and we'll just be grown-ups and we'll find somebody else to do this job, and it won't be the same. It won't be as big, but the work continues. But what you're talking about, like the vacuum that, that Dave let out, essentially, happened all across the whole country. That definitely happened here in Delaware and happened in Colorado. And so, yeah, the only thing that I might disagree with is you said you lost some really good guys. It's like, well, how good were those guys if they came in with Dave Smith and then they left with Dave Smith? I'll just say that they're called Sunshine Patriots. That's what Ron Paul would call them. When everything's going great and everything's fun and everybody's having a good time, they'll be around. And then when it's not, they won't. So I definitely learned that. And it's the same thing that we had with the Ron Paul revolution. It's like, okay, we have something that we can rally around. Some people don't like using, I don't need any leaders. Like they confuse that with like rulers. Like that's stupid. We're human beings and we need teachers and leaders, and like that's just natural and good. And there's a natural hierarchy and everything. But yeah, when a campaign is over or a campaign fizzles or the leader leaves, yeah, like things just fall apart. So I don't really know the way to kind of remedy that in the current situation. We didn't pull it off this time. People needed a figurehead to rally around, and our group had Rec to choose from, or Lars, or Josh, or anywhere else, and our haters were rallied behind the one guy, and that's why they won. And we have to deal with the blowback from that. What do you think, Kate?
I hope that Dave keeps speaking out. I watched his interview against Como. I keep saying Como because there's a beach back in Australia called Como, so I apologize. But I watched that interview and I thought he did really well. We're never going to get an apology. It's the same in Australia. Most of our state premiers should be locked up along with the chief health officers and the rest of them. So to have him on that, sharing our pain and articulating it so clearly with the right arguments, it was great to see, and I hope he stays active in that space. I understand what you're saying, Hannah, about these people that are up on high and they're doing all the big shows and they're not out in the ground in the trenches, and I'm very much out in the trenches too. But I also understand that people are in our generation and the younger generation are now tuning into podcasters instead of the news. So I feel like he is an important voice. He's showing loyalty to your party and to the Mises caucus. So the timing wasn't right for him. And with RFK running, it might have been not the right time either. It might not have got you 5% anyway. So hold him there, keep him involved, get him out in the trenches with you. I'm sure he'll come out if he's a trooper, and we'll see what happens in 4, 8, 12 years. Hopefully he'll be the president one day. I really want him to be the president.
You know what I'm tired of doing, and this is my own fault. I'm just tired of going, well, there's always the next 4 years. 4 years, I'm in my 40s now. That 4 years jumps a heck of a lot. So it's like, I don't know how many more 4-year loops I feel like just waiting for. Like I really took a proactive approach to the Libertarian Party since 2020. Okay, I voted for him twice before that, 2012, 2016, and 2020. And then I was like, okay, if you're going to continue to like vote for this lukewarm stuff and bitch about it, you're going to have to do something. And that was this time. That was this 4-year effort. And we failed to do the thing. So it's not like I think, all bets are off, or I'm never, I lose all hope or anything like that. It's just like, I don't know how much time I have to dedicate to this, how much energy I have to dedicate to like a potential political run for anybody. Not that I wouldn't get excited in 4 years if Dave announced or something like that. It's just, I don't know. I think I might need to spread my wings a little bit and just look at some other shit for a while and maybe be less of a political junkie. But Forest Mommy says, we lose money fighting for liberty in the trenches, sadly. Talking heads gain money as we lose liberty. Well, that's true. Dave has said often that his show gets more popular as freedom dissipates in America. That's probably just a natural ebb and flow thing. And, I'm sure that our podcast might get popular more popular as that happens too. But I've said this before, I'll say it again. We need Dave more than Dave needs us. That's kind of the sad reality, you know. He can go out like he's doing and does Legion of Skanks. He does shows with Cuomo, gets millions of hits. He'll go on Joe Rogan every 3 months. And if he mentions the Mises Caucus or mentions the Libertarian Party or mentions Julian Assange, you know, like all of these things go through the roof. So, you know, much like Trump, I'll just say, you're doing a great job, dude. Great job. Please continue to give us what we want. And I'm still a huge fan, and I'm excited for the future. I'm a little bit bummed that it ended this way. It was really cool hearing Dave in the beginning, like just getting involved with the caucus, like listening to a podcast you're just a fan of start to mention the things that you're active in. That was very exciting, and I appreciate it. But yeah, a thing is not beautiful because it lasts. So
that's true.
We just need to move on.
There was a comment to me, and I don't know, David O something. He's like, Colorado was 10 NOTA, 5 Chase, just saying. So you have to understand there's more. Colorado could give 0 actual fucks about the presidency. When we strategized our delegation, also you have to understand at what time that was. I had lost a huge amount of my delegation. I think we had 25 people to start off with, so you could see I'm down in numbers. One of those Chase votes was strategic. We made a deal that we would vote Chase at 1 vote if these people would vote with us on everything else. And you know what? We got Angela McArdle for chair. Maybe we don't have me for vice chair. We got a shit ton of LNC reps. And also I have 2 region reps because weeks leading up to the convention, I was silently collecting states and killing regions in very stealth mode. And that came and dropped like a hammer, exactly the way I strategized it would and should. So our presidential vote, we weren't really there to vote for the president. So it wasn't one of our, like, you have to be solid because Colorado is Mises controlled. Anyone that was not Mises in our delegation, we made deals with to be there. And so we said you could vote however you want on the president, basically. We just bartered one of those votes for more gain the rest of the weekend. So that's really our strategy overall, because Colorado is very locally focused. I know that for me, I could vote whatever. It doesn't matter because my state is blue and that's where my electoral college vote's going to go. And I mean, I'm going to be drowned out by all the commies on the Front Range regardless of how I vote. But what matters is our board staying in our control so that we can continue to push the party in the direction that we want it to go. This presidential election is only till November. Then what? We have so much more to achieve in 2 years than we do in 5 months. So I'm excited. I'm hopeful that if my beta test rolls out real nice here in Colorado and we get it up and going, that's going to inspire National to achieve a similar program and maybe capture larger voices like Dave Smith, who will be far more incentivized to promote us. So we'll just have to see how that comes. But overall, that strategy was not for the presidential. We were trying to continue and maintain control of the LNC.
Which we did. Again, these are the wins that people don't see, but are, if you were following the inside baseball. Yeah, honestly, I'd rather have the LNC than the presidential ticket. It is awfully embarrassing, kind of disorienting, and I'm hoping that our brand, which is just starting to recover from 50 years of wokeness, corporate, Republican light, just lame shit. I hope that it doesn't get something even worse than that. Some, super commie woke corporate cop shit. But you're right. It's only 5 months. I just hope we can deal with the brunt of that, and local affiliates don't get flooded with pride parades. That's just where I'm at. I hope that doesn't happen. But if you think that we are the only ones who are just kind of mixing it up in our bubble and nobody else is focused on this stuff, Take it from one of the bestest leftists out there, Jimmy Dore.
I can't think of a dumber thing to do than nominate this guy, this Chase guy.
It's almost
As
ridiculous
if it was-
to the point of being a deliberate sabotage, I would say.
It's as if the CIA somehow got involved and made sure, just like they did with the Green Party, to make sure the Green Party isn't going to grow past 5%. The same thing with the Libertarian Party.
It gets infiltrated with the... As soon as you see that rainbow
right.
flag coming, you know some bullshit's behind it.
And it sounds like that because that's what this is. This is to make sure that the Libertarian Party doesn't grow and actually become a threat to the establishment. That's what this is. This has got to be a heartbreaker for the Mises Caucus. This has got to be. That guy's a Democrat.
Hey, you can't beat the lizard people. Sorry.
He's a Democrat. That's what that guy is.
I mean, he's probably that's
He's
so.
for open
Look how
border.
fed. I mean, just it's like when you see that fake racist group, Patriot Front. This looks like a Fed trying to be gay. It looks like a Mormon Fed
trying to be
undercover with the gays.
That's what it does look like.
Look at the hair and the
it does
weird
look like
smile, and you're like, and you like just this without seeing body language, just the picture. You're like, something's way the fuck off here.
These people aren't even our people. And they're like, what the fuck is going on here? Are you serious? The Libertarians? I just thought that was so great. It makes me feel normal. Like, okay.
That was amazing. I'm so glad you played that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's cool that Jimmy Dore is aware of the Mises Caucus. I think it's cool that he, like me, calls everybody a Fed until proven otherwise. Because honestly, I love that the old Tom Woods quote. Speaking of the New York Times, he said, "I'm not saying the Times is a CIA organ, but how would we tell the difference if it weren't?" So the results are the same. If you put up Chase Oliver and Mike Termott, I don't know how that doesn't benefit the regime in every possible way. And maybe Donald Trump's campaign at the same time.
I listened to Angela's address to people today. I have been trying to figure out what are we going to do as a state party, because we are Mises controlled. I'm sorry, we're the ones who show up. So if you don't like it, show up, I guess. Mm-hmm. We've been trying to figure out how we're going to strategize what we want to do specifically with this campaign. And I like that, in a sense, I'm mulling it over in my mind as the state party, promoting Chase and Mike Termott to peel votes off Biden. I don't know if I don't know, kind of feels like, oh, I hate these guys. It's so gross. But is it worth the end result? I don't know. Do we even need to? Because with RFK and involved, that's going to peel off plenty of Biden votes. Like, are we enough of a swing vote in that scenario to really do damage one way or the other? I'm not sure. I actually have committee meetings tonight, so I'm going to have to jump off here pretty soon to get to work on the state and actually this exact issue. But I kind of want to go radio silent as a party, but I don't know.
I get it. What do you think, Kate?
Well, I have a different perspective on Chase. In Australia, the Libertarian Party is terrible at engaging the left. So much so that they hate us. Now, I'm part of the emo caucus here. I'm from the anti-authoritarian punk rock scene, and they're all voting for commies in Australia because they don't realise that libertarians support a lot of things that they want. They want bodily autonomy. They want to be able to take drugs and end the war on drugs. They want to be left alone. They think that we're homophobes. They think that we're racist. So Chase in Australia would actually be beneficial to the libertarians there, because we've done really well at getting the Republican vote, or the Liberal Party vote as it is in Australia, but we have not even tapped in to the left at all. So he would play well in Australia. I want to have him on my show because he would reach that audience. But in terms of American politics, him being the candidate at this time for your party with Mike, I've seen their videos. It looks the body language to me is just really off. It's not inspiring me any great hope. But Chase in Australia as a spokesperson for the Libertarians, let me have him. Let me have him.
So you mentioned their body language in some videos, and yes, they do feel a bit forced, these two, though they are forced to be a team. That's how the Libertarian Party works. We pick the people unless you can collude together. I guess this is the best possible case scenario for each other there. But I can't. I definitely thought that one of these guys could win, but I didn't think that they would team up to become the shittiest fucking ticket in the history of the party. And just so embarrassing. But Greg Bolden, he's a fellow Delawarean. He had these guys on. They talked about a couple issues. Kate, the reason that I'm not going to support him isn't because he leans left. It's because there are some positions he takes that I find so egregious that I believe all libertarians should reject him, since he seems to reject the non-aggression principle. I'm mainly talking about his, he's a proponent for, I would call chemical castration of kids, but he is all about doctors and parents and kids deciding that Lupron is good for minors and they can have it and it's reversible, and all the trans therapy is just fine for kids. Is that something that you're okay with tolerating out of your candidate if he was yours?
Well, I believe in protecting children, so anything under the age of 18, I think, should not be allowed a chemical castration. I also respect parental rights, so I understand that argument, but I just think in Australia, 18 is the legal age that we can drink, that we can move out, that we can consider adults. So just leave it at that, like leave the children alone. And Chase doesn't seem to. He's more the parental rights argument, so I understand it from that perspective. But in reality, I would feel more comfortable with protecting the children, waiting to their adults to make their own decisions about their body when they're developed adults.
Yeah, and he understands that surgery is permanent, so you should be 18. So he's okay with the state intervening for that, but not to give puberty blockers to a 12-year-old. So he's got a lot of work to do. What do you think, Hannah?
So, this is what I find so distasteful about him, because there's no way that these kids are not just basically manufactured. They're manufactured through the propaganda of pop culture. They're manufactured through the propaganda of schools. We do not have a huge, why is there this massive rise in trans kids? Why? It's not because it's suddenly socially acceptable. It's manufactured that way. And it's definitely part of a depopulation agenda. What's an easy way to get people to not procreate? Well, make them trans and gay. So we have to acknowledge that's an actual thing, right? Propaganda is real and it has real effects. That's what it's for. It's not to say anything. It's to achieve a certain effect. And the people that know propaganda know this, right? They know Edward Bernays. So we can't, so for him to just be like, oh, well, parents and doctors and blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, doctors, what's the biggest lobby in Washington? The healthcare lobby group, right?
Yeah.
They're the biggest sector right now of industries. This is corporatism. This is cronyism. This is not free market capitalism. There's no free market capitalist decision in any of this. So for him to say that it's just fine between doctors and parents and I'm sorry, that's either really naive or just really out of touch with reality. Yeah. And these things, they are very much controlled and influenced by the government. And if we're libertarians, we should be talking about that, and he should be saying that.
And it sounds good.
Yeah.
It should be between a doctor and that sounds good, because you want most things to be that way. But you would never say, it's up to a parent and doctor, how much you beat the shit out of your kid. How, punching the kid in the face is, that's between a parent and a doctor.
And how much heroin do you want to shoot up your child's arm?
Right.
I mean,
exactly.
You and your doctor.
I wish that he could fix that. But honestly, even if he came around on it, it probably is too late. But Greg Bolden here busted out some of his tweets, and he kind of dances around. So I thought we'd give it this little peek.
Your quotes on mandates for businesses and whether or not you are pro-vaccine, anti-vaccine. I found one of your tweets here that I feel like actually sums it up pretty well, but it says being anti-mandate is not being anti-vaccine, plain and simple. Anti-mandate equals pro-choice. Your body is yours, mine is mine. I got vaccinated. Your doctor will probably recommend the same. Good ideas don't require force. That was September 30th, 2021, pretty early on.
Now, don't you just think that this is about I'm sorry to use the libertarian autism thing, but like, how could you say this in the middle of 2021? It's so tone deaf. I mean, he was getting vaccinated, and your doctor's obviously somebody you should trust. He did it at least once or twice, but that didn't really pan out, did it?
And technically, your doctor is just your vaccine salesperson.
Right. Why doesn't he know that? Why does he not understand the corporate governmental industrial complex at play here?
On where do you stand?
Yeah, it sure does.
Day.
Yeah, I'm still absolutely in the camp. You make your own decisions about your body. If you want to take a vaccine, take a vaccine. If you don't want to take a vaccine, don't take one. But don't try to use the force of government to force that decision on other people.
This is so tone deaf and just, I hate it so much. Oh, you can take it. It's no big deal. Like it's a joint. But people are forced to take this, sir, to keep their job.
I've always been about supporting the free market, and that includes property owners to mandate what their employees have to go through, what kind of contracts their employees have to sign. We're libertarians. We shouldn't be scared of the free market when it comes to that stuff. And again, good ideas don't require force. If you were to say require a masking mandate in your store, well, you just cut out a whole huge segment of the population that could be coming into your business and spending money via voluntary exchange. And if you want to make dumb choices, that's your choice to make. But of course, with personal healthcare decisions, you can decide for yourself how you treat a disease, what your doctor tells you to do. The last thing you want is a bureaucrat or some sort of elected official trying to be your doctor for you. I'd rather your doctor be your doctor for you, and we can get about ending legislation that removes freedom from our lives, and then I don't have to worry about whether I have a medical degree or not.
Greg, I should point out that Chase's message and my message have been the same and has represented what the libertarian message
this guy
has been and what I believe it should be going forward. We're not anti-vaccine. If you believe in the vaccine, you think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, go ahead and have 7 of them.
This is your leader. These are your leaders who we're supposed to look to. I mean, there should be some kind of natural hierarchy here, right? We got 2 fucking double boosted honkies up here telling us if you like vaccines, take vaccines. This is bullshit.
Just because a lot of us have chosen against it, that doesn't mean that we don't believe that you should have the option to take a vaccine.
So Mike and Chase, not to interrupt you, Mike, but I'm limited in time, and I just want to drill this down because I know this is a concern for people. In one of Chase's tweets, he also mentions that a private property business owner should be able to mandate a vaccine. And you kind of alluded to that. The corporate can do what they want to do with that. I actually want to push back as a libertarian on that ideal and just get your response on it. Because I believe that our health is something that's very private. And we watched something that was very private made very public back during the COVID tyranny, is what I call it, and many others. And so I'm curious, why would you say that, something like your health should be able to be dictated or it should be the business of your employer?
Yeah, well,
Greg, let me jump in here just for a second. I think.
Shut up, Chase. I got this.
Chase's message is on point. If you're a corporate employer, it's your right to do almost any stupid thing that you want to do as long as you're not violating somebody's right.
So already he knows this. He knows that most people work for major corporations. He knows about DEI. He knows about ESG. He knows that these things come from the top down, but he doesn't care. Oh, they're talking about like whimsical shit like the free market. Oh, the free market works like this. No, it comes from the top down, and if you don't do it, you're regulated out of existence.
Not only that, your rights literally are being violated. Your right to privacy by having to show a card with your health things on it. That's well, if it doesn't that does violate your rights. That literally does.
And the other thing is there's no such thing as a free market vaccine. So he's acting as if these were developed without big money from government and like waive their liability like they did in Australia to us. So he's not speaking in reality. I know he's hitting all the talking points, but it just shows a detachment from the people and what we're actually about.
Yeah. Good call. No such thing as a free market vaccine. Brilliant. Let's check this tweet.
Libertarians, I believe, stand for. This again, January 8th, 2021. Is this something that you're proud of, that you support still to this day? Give us context and explain.
For our listeners, it's bye, real Donald Trump. Glad you are banned. Hashtag sorry, not sorry. Accountability, 25th Amendment now. This guy, I guarantee you, never said 25th Amendment for Joe Biden.
You know, where you stand on it.
Greg, let me jump in here. What
Hey, Chase, shut the fuck up. I got this one again, buddy.
Chase
like,
was
"It's your
talking
tweet,
about.
but I'm going to explain it."
Yeah, right. He wants to be president so bad.
Yeah, I have never seen this tweet before. But in fairness, anyone who reads that knows that the context is not that Donald Trump was being banned by the government, but he was being banned by some social media platform.
Completely ignoring the Twitter files, completely ignoring deep state governmental collusion with social media companies across the board. It's just a free market, mom and pop social media shop. They want to do it, they can.
Again, I might think it's moronic to ban Donald Trump. As a matter of fact, if I had a social media platform, I would be trying to engage this guy as often as I could because he'd be huge for traffic. But you have a right to ban someone from your own social media platform, just like you have the right to keep me off your show once in a while. I will be on Tuesday at 5, by the way, again. But you have the right to decide who comes on your program.
And hey, whether you like it or not, Donald Trump's speech is not censored. He has his own social media platform. We read his truths all the time. It's not as if he can't get the word out about what he believes. Lord knows he was on our stage saying all kind of horrible unlibertarian things in the libertarian state. So he was even afforded stages that he's never had before at this point by our political party. And so he can get the word out there. I just think that if a platform wants to ban him, and frankly, I think, if they want to ban him, they have every right to. And frankly, he's not banned anymore and he's not going back. The reason is because he's lost a lot of money in Truth Social and knows that if he dumps the platform, everyone will leave Truth. And I guess that's good on him for trying to keep his business afloat. But the truth is his free speech is not being infringed upon.
Okay, this guy, I'll tell you what. So no, he will not apologize for much. Won't apologize for being double boosted and telling you to trust your doctor, trust the government, trust the mandates. Man, unbelievable. I have to read a couple of Chase's tweets to you guys just so that you get a full picture of who we're dealing with here. These are all from Chase Oliver. Guess what? I went to a Pride event featuring a drag queen story time, and there was no grooming or sexualization. Just happy kids hearing stories about rainbows. When you see something firsthand, you can see past the media scare tactics. Okay, scare tactics there. Let's see here. I would actually vote for codifying Roe and Casey. Again, it's bodily autonomy and privacy argument. Happy to discuss how we can lower the instance of abortion without outright bans. We also need to vastly simplify the process of adoption so it's more viable. Okay, not horrible, but I'm pretty sure he wants to keep monies going to Planned Parenthood. Should people under the age of 18 years old be able to receive gender transition treatments? Yes, but for non-surgical treatments such as puberty blockers and hormone therapy. There it is. Here's Chase in around Thanksgiving 2020. So I'm having a Thanksgiving of less than 10 people, and we will be masked inside when we eat since masks have to come off, we'll have spacing happen. It's not impossible to be reasonable. Limit the size, wear a mask when not eating, space yourself accordingly. Can you imagine? I can't be led by this guy. You can't even have dinner like a normal person with your family. Mask, it's the weirdest shit I've ever heard in my life. Chase Oliver in 2022. It seems Georgia is poised to become another state which finds trans kids playing school sports to be important enough to rise to the need for legislation. It's targeting a small community for political points. It's a shame and will harm the number of trans athletes. Amazing. Here's Chase a couple years ago when he was running for office. I guess I have to say this now. The National Libertarian Party does not speak for me, and unless I retweet, I do not at all endorse them. There is no tent big enough for myself, my friends, and family to be alongside racists and bigots. Lou Rockwell and his work is bigoted tripe. Wow. Do you guys, how often are you called racist?
All the time. I was called a racist white supremacist in a publication here in Colorado. So if I had been employed, I know somebody that was worked for a massive corporation. They were like, if an article came out with my name in it like that, I would lose my job.
Oh my gosh.
I have a problem with Chase because he compared drag queen story time to the Wiggles. The Wiggles are big children's entertainers in Australia.
Mhm.
They're national icons like Steve Irwin. And he said taking your children to the Wiggles is the same as taking them to drag queen story time. You cannot. You're trying to compare apples with bananas as far as I'm concerned. And it's an insult to the Wiggles because they're very clear and they're children's entertainers, and taking your kids to drag queen story time, very different form of entertainment. So don't
why
use
is there
the
no
Wiggles name in
strippers?
vain again.
Why is there no stripper story time? Oh, because it's adult entertainment.
Right.
Interesting, isn't
How
drag
about we
adult
take,
entertainment?
let a senior citizen read to the kids. They need to go to an old folks home. They need to be around people, and they won't try and, indoctrinate your kids. They'll just actually try and read to them. Amazing. Yeah, he really does. Here's my favorite. I reject Ron Paul, and I am #sorry not sorry. You motherfucker. I mean, that might be a bigger deal breaker than trans and the kids, Chase. If you're not down with Ron Paul, I don't know how we can be friends. However, we have picked on him a lot, but he does have a running mate who, according to Jimmy Dore, might be part of the Fed infiltration of this party. But let's get to know Mike Tremont.
Under the Gold New Deal, the federal doctrine of qualified immunity will be eliminated, and no other restriction will be placed on the people's right to seek redress in court or through a duly appointed private oversight board. Law enforcement officers will be personally bonded by non-government insurance. Federal law enforcement, including the FBI, DEA, and ATF, will be eliminated. No warrant will have the authority to breach a private residence without advance notice. No private asset will be seized without a court order upon due process for showing debt. We will privatize and decentralize police accountability.
All right, well, I'm fucking in. I didn't know that it was going to get that exciting. Wait, hold on. This just in. Are you sure? Okay. All right. Mike Tremont, COVID cop, is a qualified immunity enjoyer. That's right. You're hearing it first. He kicked a man's door down, handcuffed him to his kitchen table, did not read him his rights, did not have a right to be in his house, and then used qualified immunity to get out of his lawsuit. If I told you that this happened only 2 years before he started running for president, would you be shocked? What a long, strange trip it's been if you were going to infiltrate a party and sink it to the fucking ocean floor. I don't know how you could do better than these two guys together. It does seem, as Jimmy Dore said, like an op. And even if it's not, the effects will be the same. What do you think about this cop?
Well, I spotted him and pegged him for what he is a long time ago, which then I pivoted into, I would just think it would be really great if you would run like an electable race. Like he should run a Senate race or a congressional race.
He did, and he got less than 1%. That was his first thing. And then he was like, you know what I should do? Run for president.
Yeah. No, like So, and then I had some fun information come out of Florida that only just like confirmed my read right off the rip. And then I couldn't believe that the Mises Caucus was allowing it almost felt like not necessarily infiltration, but flipping of our members, maybe some infiltration. Like I thought it was really odd that we were like politicking together, but sort of separately.
So did
and I'm
I.
like, this is a bad judgment call, but I digress. I'm just going to take care of Colorado, and maybe I'm not seeing something that they're seeing at the top, and just went with it. So when all that happened, I'm just like, yep, I knew that son of a bitch was going to be exactly the way that he was.
That's what I said. I was in the Mises group probably once a week going, are you guys fucking serious? This fucking cop? You're just going to like add him as your number 2 guy or something? Are you serious? Though I didn't know about this until after he got the nod. Probably should have done a little bit more opposition research there, but seriously, somebody should have. This is public information. And we elevated him to, our second highest position there. But yeah, he was in the group, or maybe not him, but his people were plucking off our people for a good year or two. And it really paid off. That nice guy routine, joining every caucus and being nice to everybody, that worked for him.
Well, I had him on my show. And I asked him about the cop thing because that's a huge red flag for me. We actually got pulled over by the cops today, and I had to go at my mate because he was talking too much. But he did get us out of the situation because we're staying at this motel. They thought we were here for a drug deal, so we had to explain why we're staying here. But I digress. So I had Mike on my show, and I asked him about the cop thing, and he said, like I said, how many COVID rules did you police? How many people in Australia they were shooting at us with rubber bullets and pepper spraying us for protesting in the street. So I asked him about that kind of thing. And he said when he went out to enforce these rules, he just delivered the message. So if there was a house party of more than 10 people, he would say, the state says that you can only have, less than 10 people. I'm just here delivering the message. So he wasn't actually saying, shut the party down. I'm just delivering the message. And he was out in the streets as a Libertarian Party member doing stuff there. So he kind of explained it to me. But the issue that I've had is all the backroom dealing. Now, politics is a dirty business. It's the same in Australia, but that's why people get turned off of political parties. And when you see it in a small scale, in a small party, the same kind of shady deals, the backroom dealing, the backstabs, in it for themselves, self-interest, that is a huge turn off. And to me, I don't think he wanted to be the VP. I was very surprised when he accepted that offer from Chase, and he doesn't look happy about it. I mean, you see him in the interview. So I think maybe it's a poison chalice for him, but he's made his bed. He has to lie in it, and he's got to convince people to vote for him and Chase. And I don't think it's going so well so far, just by what I've seen.
Well said. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I have a little bit of schadenfreude for him. I feel like you're right. I don't think that he's happy with this. I know I think he took out 2, maybe more than that, 2 mortgages on his house. He went in deep debt to run for the Libertarian Party presidential.
Just for an ego stroke. All just to
yeah.
What? I can't even imagine. Like, what?
Yeah. I could have told him that you don't make millions of dollars from this. Are you investing in something? Like, and if it's your celebritarian career, there's way better ways to do it, man. Go buy some sponsored ads for your podcast or something for whatever you spent on this. You're not Lars Mapstead, for crying out loud. Speaking of money, though, I'm going to throw my tip jar at the bottom of the screen because I ain't Clint Russell. Motherfuckers, throw $5 in there.
Get him to Clint Russell status because he deserves it.
Oh, you're not a fan of him either, though, right?
Well, okay. I don't make friends very good apparently.
How did I land in your good graces?
He would have made a better VP candidate, though. Do you agree?
Sure. I would have. Yeah. So, yeah. Well, I abstained from the VP vote because of the drama that I have there. But I told my delegation, you want to vote for him, you do it. But he has beef with Colorado. It's like a whole thing. Well, you got in my good graces because I know that you go out and you get shit done. Like you're invested in like the ideology. Like you're not here just to make a buck.
Literally haven't made a buck yet, but seriously, throw some money in that fucking tip jar.
Throw some money. So
$5 Australian, $5 Australian, and it is like $9. So I'll be giving you $9.
Yeah. So I think it's important that I like that you're in the trenches, and also trying to be a figurehead and are a figurehead. So I appreciate that. That's what earns my respect is work. And getting your hands dirty, getting into some meat making the sausage a little bit. Even if you're not elbows deep as me, it's hard to beat me as far as energy in that. Yeah. But anyone that's really, really invested in actually this, the idea, rather than the person and their ego, that's what it is for me. Because I love Liberty so much, I don't want to share her with anyone else.
I love that. I don't want to share her with anyone else. Yeah, good call. Yeah, I'm out there. I'm trying to do the shit. I'm asking the tough questions. Check this out.
And she's gonna cut your balls off when you get home. She said, "I'm almost 50. Fuck no." Yeah.
Yeah, I love my wife.
Did I just catch Valerie's going to cut your balls off when you get home?
No, she is not.
Okay. Balls are intact.
Just saying. Who else sat down with Nick Sarwark at the convention? This guy. Look forward to the whole interview coming out pretty soon with the mighty Dan Smots. And check this little clip out from this libertarian songbird.
Dave asked Clinton last night, like, what gives you the impression that Trump learned any lessons?
Yeah.
And that would be one that would prove that he learned none.
Yeah, there's other things too, like let's build a new FBI head.
Hi.
Sorry, guys.
We'll get to you later, though. I know who you are. Very, very talented.
I had some fun with that. That's cool. I like doing the man on the street stuff. That's my favorite. These are fun, but I like, mixing it up with people. Hannah, you were my second interview. We'll get that one out soon.
Okay, I'm looking forward to it.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, I guess we're coming down to it. I'm not going to dwell on what the Libertarian Party is up to. I feel like this is a unique time in American politics. I'm going to start branching out of my little bubble and kind of keep my toes in. You know what I mean? I like this Mises Caucus. That mission never seems to change, and I can count on those guys. And I like the people in my local party. So maybe the revolution was the social club we made along the way. I'm not sure. But yeah. Any closing words? Any words of wisdom that you want to give to these people, Hannah? I'll let you go first.
Yes, I want to just thank every single MECOC that showed up as a delegate in DC and voted and stuck around to the very end and was in the trenches, and even the people that had to leave early because, well, we planned on something much different. Like, thank you so much. Thank you to everyone who stayed home and cheered us on and was a loud voice for us in the midst of the battle because it was rough down there in the trenches. And I just want to say thank you so much for having me on. And it was so delightful to meet you. And I'm glad that I was able to at least connect with you a little bit. I'm sorry I missed you in DC. I was hyper focused on business.
It was great to meet you too, and good to talk with you. Wish you would have won, but you're doing all kinds of great stuff. So I know you're going to stay busy and keep up the great work. Thank you so much. Kate, you're on an adventure. You're going, where's next after this motel room?
We're heading to San Antonio tomorrow, meeting up with Dan Taxation is Theft Berman. So I'm going to have a yarn with him. And it was just an absolute bloody pleasure to meet all you American libertarians. Like I said at the start, you are the beacon of hope. You are where liberty came from for us in Australia. I know it hasn't turned out how you wanted this time, but if you can't invest your energy in the party, find where your niche is. Put your energy into something else. I had a few people come to me and say they don't know what to do now because they're so disheartened. Liberty, the fight for liberty can be done outside of political parties. I've learned that lesson the hard way too. But we've got such a great community across the globe. It's such an honor to be in this beautiful country. I'm going to make the most of my time and anything I can do for the fight, because I've got stories from back home that would make you guys stay up all night crying like I am. So hold on to your liberty, hold on to your amendments, especially the Second Amendment, and keep that fight for liberty alive.
Thank you. I needed that. And you know what? I sometimes when I throw pity parties for myself, it's nice to hear from people who are in shittier situations, like anybody who lives in Australia. Yeah, be grateful you live in America, people, especially you ANCAPs, you Lysander Spooner people. I get it. The Constitution didn't hold up, but you know what? The culture that Constitution provided, the gun culture that exists here, let's be thankful. Let's show some gratitude for that. It could definitely be worse. And I have no intention of giving up the fight for liberty. I'm just going to try and come up with some creative ways to do some damage. That's all. But ladies, thank you so much for coming here and talking with me. And it's been the first one in a while. We'll be back soon, but I think we froze up here. But I appreciate you guys, and we'll do it again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's see. I think we're still getting audio, but we're frozen up here. Let's see if we can wrap it up. All right. And are we frozen? We still live? Darn.
You've broken the internet.
I have, man. It was so close till the last second, and now everything's frozen. All right, I'm gonna try and get.
Need food?
Are we still live, Dave? What's going on?
We are. I can't, yeah, I'm frozen. Everybody just gets to watch a dead screen until I. Yeah, you guys can hang up if you'd like, but it's still going, and I can't do anything about it.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on, mate. I'll have to get
you.
you on my show. And
That'd be
keep
great.
in touch.
Anytime. Thank you,
All
Kate. Have a
right.
great time.
Cheers. You too. See ya.